So welcome to Profile 3 TV, and today I'm very excited to be joined by a guest who is not from Ireland or from the UK, but from halfway around the world. So we're going to find out a little bit more about that, and we're going to talk about remote working, which we're all looking at and trying to get our heads around at the moment. So thank you very much for taking time out to talk to us today. So I'm going to hand over to you and let you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background.
That's perfect. So thank you for inviting me first. So my name is Antonie Geerts. The G is Dutch. So originally I'm from the Netherlands. Moved to Ireland when I was 21. Worked there for about 13 years. Then set up an agency in Dublin. Set up a new agency in Cebu City in the Philippines a couple years later. And that's where I'm now. So we are an IT development company. And I still go back to Ireland once a year. I was planning to go in May, but of course things have changed. My flight got cancelled, so hopefully again in August I'll be back. So yeah, that's really what I do. Just a little bit about the company that we do as well is good to know. Initially, I started in a digital agency, just doing websites and digital marketing analytics. That's something that we really enjoyed. But I also had a passion for creating new products, not something that a client would come up with, but something that I really wanted to build myself. And that drove me towards the direction of the Philippines, where you can find a lot of skilled labor for a much more affordable price to do little side projects that are not there to make money. They're more to say, okay, let's build something, see what comes out of it. And since then, I really have fallen in love with the thing is done remotely in a sense. So that's my story so far.
Amazing. So you're half Irish, I guess, huh?
Yes. I do feel more Irish than I feel Dutch at some stage. So it's I really do love Ireland, and when my son is big enough, I'm gonna send him back there to study in Ireland as well to learn the culture and everything there.
Amazing. So what's the core services then that you'd offer your clients?
So we do development, bespoke development mostly. So our clients, we have clients like airports that need a safety management system. We have an Irish customer that needed a reputation management platform. We have a Hong Kong customer that needs property management solutions. So we built bespoke software. So not just websites, but a complete management platform with mobile app integration and anything that they would need based around their services. So it could literally be everything that needs some kind of remote access and some kind of remote capability.
Incredible. So very complex systems, comprehensive, but as you say, no, it's bespoke to the client's requirements.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the nice thing is, again, we have very skilled guys here. So for me, I know development. I used to develop when I was younger, but not at the level as my team ever was. But I do know how something should fit together. So with the right management and the right strategy, they can actually build some amazing products that I still go like, wow, did we just build this? So it's a nice feeling to see the client's ideas and your ideas meld together into a beautiful product.
Sure, amazing. And how did you find agency life in Dublin versus to international remote agency work?
Yeah, so interesting because of course what happens in Dublin a lot, what I notice is for big projects, they would go to the Accentures and those kinds of companies to build something bespoke. And the agencies are left building websites, mostly doing SEO and a bit of AdWords, and not much complex systems, even though a lot of them would be very capable of doing it. It's just by default, that's the standard. So when we moved over and a client asked us, oh, we want to build this, yeah, we can actually do it affordable because, of course, the cost is a lot lower. So it appeals to a lot of the European customers because of the cost. What normally would cost maybe 300,000-400,000 euros, we can do for about 100,000 euros. So it's a much cheaper way of doing things. But of course, the site it's going to be remotely. It's rare that we have face-to-face meetings. Although whenever I go to Ireland, I do meet the clients face-to-face. but 90% is all remote. Yeah.
Amazing. And of course, the world's changed in a couple of weeks or months or two. I guess remote working now is more important for businesses than it's ever been before.
Yes, yes, it's unbelievable how it turned around. Of course, the remote working capability has been around for many years, and a lot of even in Ireland, once in a while when I was still working for an agency, I was also doing remote work once in a while. But now it becomes the new norm. It's the new now in terms of remote capability. So luckily for us, we were in the middle of a big project for the Hong Kong customer around property management, which is property management here in Asia is a lot of high-rise buildings, a lot of big skyscrapers, and they have teams that need to manage them. But you cannot, put these people away working from home. There needs to be some kind of way of communication with your tenants and the homeowners. But the solution was actually a remote management solution. So we got lucky in that sense that we're working on something that will help deal with future remote situations like this.
Incredible, yeah. What timing? No, it's amazing, and how people's perception of remote working is going to be changed now, without a doubt.
Yes, for sure. It's now it's a must. Before it was more, oh, it's nice to have, but now from a business perspective, even if everything goes back to some type of normal, the chances that we will be in a similar situation in 1 year or 5 years, 10 years is likely. So I would say this is definitely a kind of a push towards the company management to say, let's invest more in this remote management style than not, and say, well, this blows over, because it won't blow over. That's probably guaranteed.
This is true. And how have you found them working with an offsite team within your own business?
So interesting enough, that there are some bad stories around work using remote teams. So my first, when I started Seditio Limited, I had my first customer where I used part workers from India. Now, again, they are highly skilled. They are very capable, but you kind of have the risk of running into a team that takes on 10 or 20 projects at the same time. And as a result, if you're not on top of it, what you get delivered is cheap and half working products and systems. So luckily for me, because I have the tech background and the development experience, I could work with the developers directly and actually push them directions in there and get things done. But there are so many stories of companies that are doing it that don't have the technical background, they don't have the experience, and then as a result, they have a bad product and they have to go to a local agency to say, guys, can you fix this? So it is, I think it's very useful. And I definitely think it's something for the future anyway. But maybe instead of companies going directly to a company in India and doing everything remotely, they should go to a local agency and say, guys, can you talk to these guys in India for us and manage it? Because that management piece is really what is missing. But in terms of technical capability, they can do, and they do build great things.
Amazing. And did you find that there's common, I guess, misconceptions clients have around remote working, or used to have? Maybe they still have, but as we say, they're gone now.
Yeah, well, of course, you have the standard one. If my staff works remotely, they're going to be lazy and they're going to just lie in bed and do nothing. Of course, I used to be an employee as well, and I remember that feeling. But funny enough, I often was more productive at home than I was in the office, because you feel that extra guilt of, okay, I'm here at home, let's do some work extra. And the numbers actually point that out as well in a lot of studies, where remote workers are actually more productive than they are in the office, because there's no distraction and they have that specific guilt. Funny enough, here in the Philippines, there's a lot of BPOs, like the big call centers from around the world, and they have a lot of software to really monitor the remote working capabilities. Now, of course, that wouldn't be applicable to Europe because of privacy and all the other things. But here, the teams that work remotely, they have software on their PCs that show if they're actually using the mouse cursor. If they're idling, they have snapshots of the webcam, and through that they can really, be very efficient workforces.
Amazing. No, incredible. As you say, there's a technology solution for everything. It's
Yeah.
incredible. And I guess do we think, well, for us even, if you ask me prior to the current virus, the crisis that we have, working from home, for sure, though, there's 100% merits, but obviously being office-based would have been my preference. But I think we're all getting such a long stint at home that it might actually be hard to get people back into offices when this goes back to normal. It's going to be interesting times.
Yeah, well, I was speaking to my team as well. We moved to a new office last November, so it's a completely, very proud moment for myself to say, okay, let's get out this new office, new desks and everything. So, and then you can enjoy it for 2.5 months, and all of a sudden you have to be stuck at your home office. So the guys actually miss their office as well, because the team, it's still the same team that I have for a couple of years now. So they're all like family.
Yeah.
But we use solutions like Google Cloud, Google Suite, Google Chat, to still have that social element as well. But yeah, I do miss the office, but I wouldn't mind if they say, listen, we want to work from home today or tomorrow. It's been working out so far.
No, for sure. And we're in a similar situation. Moved to a new office in December, got in the fiber in February, and so yourself, you're paying for the state-of-the-art internet, and there's not a thing on it. So break your heart.
Yes, I know. But it is what it is. At least it will be waiting when you come back.
And any tips or advice? Because obviously you've been doing this for a long time, and what remote working is really about. Especially, I'm thinking of companies that have just been thrown into it at the deep end. Have you any tips or advice that you would suggest that people should consider if they're struggling now working from home?
Well, the thing is for us is normalization. So when we go to the office, my first thing, you wake up, take your shower, brush your teeth. I get my coffee at a certain space, certain time, and then I'll be in the office at a certain time. Now that schedule I still apply here, and I kind of have to, because it's very easy to just watch TV late, sleep out late, and then do stagnant working. But getting into that original rhythm and building a rhythm that suits your home style is much better. But again, it takes a little bit of push on your own. But then after a week of doing it, for me it's just like any other day. It's just I'm not in the office. I'm at home. So that's one thing. Another one as well for business that haven't embraced remote working and don't have the infrastructure to actually start setting up. And what I hear is they might be just holding off. They're not doing anything until this blows over. But this downtime is useful to actually start building your infrastructure, so that when you come back and you can roll in all your staff, it will work, and they are ready to use it for anything that comes up in the future.
Amazing. And is management then important for a team when working remotely, or what should a management team or managers be doing?
Well, I'm lucky enough that I have a brilliant operations manager that actually does the direct liaising with my team, and I deal with him directly, and I check in with my team once in a while. But it really depends on the team as well, how much management they would need and how much push and what kind of jobs they would normally do. So let me take it from an IT perspective. We have designers, and because we don't take on many projects at the same time, the designer only has a set amount of work to do. And once it's done, once we're in the wireframe stage and the final designs are done, he will be idle. He'll not be able to have anything to do. But we like to motivate them to learn different skills while they're idle. So, for example, the company has the Udemy courses. So they have a whole bunch of courses there. We have from, I don't know if you know, Elements, Envato Elements, which is a resource of a lot of design assets and tutorials. So all those resources we give them, and then they can showcase what are they doing, what have they built. And it doesn't have to be anything to do with the company or ourselves. It just needs to be something that they enjoy doing and they enjoy showcasing what they learned. Because again, a designer with more skill can be beneficial for future projects, and you can better.
There's no doubt. No, there's no doubt. No, very smart. A good idea. So good note. So thank you for that one. And you'd mentioned using a lot of cloud services that Google Hangouts and all these good. Do you find that there's advantages and disadvantages to that?
Yeah, of course. It needs internet, right? That's one thing that is important. So with no internet, there's no connection to the cloud, and you can do not that much. But we use, for example, our G Suite has the virtual file server where you share all your documents, and everybody has their own local copy as well. So even with no internet, they can still work away. But also connection in terms of this video call, for example, if the connection isn't strong enough, you can't have those discussions. Security breaches is another thing that needs to be considered. So if your system isn't secure, if you're using a platform that gets hacked, then anybody on that cloud can get infected as well and can get into trouble. So for us, it's very important because we work with airports that that security is at the highest standard. But there's a lot of free cloud services that might not be as secure, and that's things that you definitely need to consider before moving your office completely to the cloud.
Incredible. So really audit the tools you're going to use, and ideally use good brands that you know and trust will be secure.
Yeah, well, funny enough as well, because of course any server technically can be hacked. There's no doubt about that. It's really how it's being set up. So Amazon and Google, they have their infrastructure, and they'll give you the infrastructure, but if you don't set it up properly and you get hacked, you cannot call Google and Amazon. They just say, yeah, sorry, you didn't set it up properly. It's not, but in terms of the main, the open authentication that they use for use Facebook to log in, use Google to log in, those types of things, that's their responsibility. And as long as you use elements like that, you're at the highest standard of security.
Incredible. And I guess another thing when I'm thinking of working remote, we need to think of our well-being and our mindset as well. There's a big element of that as we're all locked down in our houses or apartments. So how have you found that over the years? Or any tips or advice or things we should consider?
Yeah, well, we do have our HR manager is always in play to make sure that she talks to the staff, and I always make sure that I talk to them and ask them how their weekend was. That kind of standard conversation that you would normally have around the kettle in the office, we still try to replicate it online. But as well, sometimes trying to do, like here in the Philippines, things like TikTok are very popular. So they are, as a team, they're keeping each other, strong, and they're doing social things. And there's no, yeah, it's fun to see. It's fun to keep themselves busy. I myself, I tend to distance a little bit from that, of course, because it's, I don't really want to get involved too socially on that level because they're still the team. But no, they are actually very good in keeping themselves entertained and busy. And for me, I have the two kids here at the home, so they keep me very busy as well.
Very busy, no, for sure. And that's the hard part is, again, yeah, we've all been thrown into this with a few days' notice, and we're thinking it might be a week or two, but yeah, so interesting times.
Yes, especially my wife owns her own business as well. She started it 2 years ago, and her business is coaching. So she does executive coaching for companies here. But it's very difficult to do that initially remotely, or at least that was her perception of it. But now she's up and running, and she does all the coaching remotely. But the first month or so, it was definitely a down period where, okay, I just started this business going well, and now it's going to be taken away. But she adopted, and she's actually doing very well with remote management. Another thing that I would tell to people that are kind of down in terms of this situation with their business, everybody's starting at the same spot. Once this is once the doors open up, everybody has a free reign to where they want to go, and there's nobody who's differently benefited or not benefited this virus. So, keep that in mind. And what we do is we are already planning for when the quarantine is lifted. Just okay, how are we going to benefit further from this, and what do we have in store? So we already have prepared quite a lot of strategies and documents and content. It's like, after this is lifted, what can we offer customers to start using our system and products? Yeah.
Amazing. No, and this is it. It's right. There's always a silver lining, and everyone has to adapt, and we just need to adapt a wee bit smarter and faster, and we come out of this stronger than ever before. There's no doubt.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. They say it's adapt or die, isn't it? So it's
definitely, we've been forced to do that in this situation. There's no doubt. But again, no, thank you very much for your time today and giving us some insight into remote working. That's been brilliant. So if anyone wants to find out a little bit more about yourself and what you and the team are doing, what's the best place, or where should they find you online?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn. That's probably the best way to talk to me personally. We have our website, seditio.ie, which is currently under construction, which is funny and very common with a lot of agencies as well. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's the best way. LinkedIn and seditio.ie, that has the contact form and all the information. So yeah, that's really it.
The best ways. Brilliant. And we put links underneath the video here to those so people can reach out and say hello.
All right, that sounds good. Sounds good.
Amazing, amazing. Well, thank you again for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks as well, Ciaran.
Thank you. And thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this quick chat and discussion around remote working. Hopefully it's working out for you. And again, if you have any questions, we've got an expert here on how to do that successfully with his team, and he's been doing it for many years. So do reach out and say hello. And if you found this useful, please do share. We'll see you in the next video. Thank you.